Hello, hello. Welcome to our weekly time to get together and feel some support and feel some support. Yes, I am so glad to be with you today. So, what I wanted to do is to make sure we have time. Okay, I'm going to adjust one thing. Okay, there we go. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to have this space together to kind of check in and feel supported. It is an extremely hard time for so many of us out there. We're kind of there's a lot of things happening in the world, to put it mildly. A lot of very difficult things for so many people, and it just seems like it's just bombarded every day. And we've talked about this before. From the collective, just nationally, there are very difficult things, and then for us as individuals personally, as we're going through just regular life, experiencing regular everyday struggles. Those everyday struggles don't end just because there are national struggles happening as well. And so what happens is we really have, just an overwhelm of difficult things layered upon difficult things upon difficult things. And what I'm hearing from people I'm talking with is this: it really can feel quite crushing. It can feel just like a tremendous weight and a heaviness to the heart that is sometimes it just feels like it just won't go away. The heaviness sits there. And so I really wanted to make sure that we have a time, a space to check in with each other, to make sure you're not alone in the hard. This is a place of to vent, or to just sit in a supportive, caring, kind, compassionate space for a minute, and to know that you're not alone as you're doing the humanness of life. It is kind of an especially hard time, it seems like, to do the humanness of life right now. And one of the things I wanted to, so feel free if you want to comment now or later, in the comments. Let me know how you are, how you're holding up, how things are feeling for you. And so in the meantime, I wanted to mention that someone I was talking to earlier this week, it was interesting as she was relaying that a conversation, really it was an online conversation she had earlier that she was then relaying to me. So what she said what had happened is that she had put out into this group that she was a part of, um, that, here's the hard time I'm having, again, and individually that she was having, and in the context, of course, of everything going on, in the world, in the nation. This is the hard time I'm having, is what she had, put as part of a chat in a group she was part of. And then some of the comments she got back from that, I think were especially painful, and honestly were painful for me to even hear that she had gone through this. So what some of the comments she was getting back was, "Well, you just need to be more resilient. Just have more grit," type of comments. You need to be stronger in this. You need to the idea of resilience kept coming up, kind of relayed back to her, be more resilient. You should be stronger in this. And hearing what she was relaying about this moment for her, it felt especially, I could feel the pain on her behalf. It the idea of here's the pain I'm in, here's what I'm experiencing, and then to have somebody come back and say, well, you know, buckle up and be resilient and, pull yourself out and just, power through is an especially hard thing to hear in a time of when you're feeling vulnerable and hurt. And so I did want to talk about this idea, this notion of resilience in the face of hardship. Um, and it's I think maybe some people were maybe had good intentions. I think the idea of resilience, we speak about it a lot of times in our community, about as chaplains, as secular chaplains, what we seek to provide is a non-anxious presence. So, if somebody's going through a hard time, what we secular chaplains want to do is to make sure we are providing a steady space and that we're not, you know, trying to shut down how somebody is feeling, but that we are a steady space where that person can speak to how they're feeling, can speak to the pain that they are going through, and that they know that, this chaplain, this secular chaplain is somebody I can lean on and will be able to hold my hard feelings, that will be able to walk through this with me. So I think when some people were speaking to my friend in this way, saying, "Well, you just need to be resilient," or "You need to you know buckle up a little bit." Maybe what they were trying to get at is, you know, is there a way to hang on, to have some steadiness in the midst of the difficult time? Is there a space for that? But I think the issue comes in that I think it would is probably a better idea for us to think about resilience I as a community notion, resilience as a communal effort, in that, sometimes we as individuals, it's just the resilience comes from the fact that we are in this context of community. So, if you think about a community like early humans, and here they are, the small 100-person communities, what they were dealing with is if somebody, was injured or hurt or, needed time to recover after they had been on a long hunt, for instance, here is now a community that we are resilient together. So you can come back from your long effort of hunting or whatever, and now you can rest. Or if you've been injured by, trying to build the hut for, or to find some shelter for us, and you were injured in that effort, now is a time you can rest, because the community, together we are resilient. If we took you apart from the community right now and said, buckle up, and you should be strong, and don't let this bother you, well that, this person is now in a place of vulnerability, so that is not likely to end up good for that person. But if we can be, as a community, a whole of resilience, that when you need some time, community together. So I think, in speaking with this person earlier this week, that's what I was trying to relay, is that this sense of, when people try to put on, buckle up, that kind of language, please be very mindful that that just may not be what's entirely helpful for somebody going through a hard thing. If you are the person going through the hard thing, or if you're speaking to somebody else who is, that a notion of resilience, if we can think of it more as the group of us together in community, we are strong. In community, we can get through the hard things. As an individual, it's just nearly impossible to always be that, holding up that strength in the face of very difficult things. It's just not meant to be on any one person, but rather as a community, there can be, one person can hold something up while the other person is caring for their wounds. Now, this person is now, able to have their wounds are now healed, so they can hold something up while this person, is vulnerable in this way. So I think if we can hold that the wonderful notion of resilience, but put that in context of it's we are resilient communally, that can be so helpful. And I think, for many folks who have maybe left, certain type of religious organizations, th- there would be a common notion or saying, I've heard people say they would hear things in their religious community like, well, God never gives you more than you can handle, or, God doesn't give you more than you can bear. Are these type of religious type, you know, languaging around hard things? And so it can be very difficult. This can be a very dug in concept, that somehow, you know, all of this is being brought to bear on you, and this hardship is just on you. But here you can do it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have to face it. Kind of ideas are really rooted in a lot of culture type dynamics, religious type dynamics. And so it can be very difficult to kind of put that aside and think of it in this really more healthy way, that together in community we can bear this thing, and you are not meant to do it by yourself. And actually it can be very harmful if you're hearing the message, this buckle up idea. It can actually make things quite more difficult for you. If you're, it's being said to somebody, it can make things more difficult for that person to hear this notion of you must be tougher or have more grit or be more resilient in this hard time. So I did want to just bring that up to us today. If you've kind of been hearing that, or maybe found yourself kind of frustrated in saying that sometimes, it may be more helpful to keep this idea together that we humans are really ill equipped and not meant to do this life individually by ourselves. It's just not. We are social creatures. We were made, to go through the humanness together. And so this notion of that I've got, a person has all the things they need just in their one individual self to be able to get through a hard thing, or to be able to find their way to something different. It can be an incredibly, incredibly painful notion for people. So hopefully this more um, this deeper, richer, fuller understanding of resilience can be a help. That resilience is found in community. And so if you are feeling that things are so weighty and things are so difficult, it is a time to connect with others so you don't have to go through it by yourself. To make sure that if things, that is an especially good time to connect with others, um, to make sure you are not somehow being forced, into to grit or resilience, or toughing it out by yourself, because it's just nearly impossible to do that as a single human, as an individual. But in a community, if you can share that burden with others who can be a steady space for you in the hard time. If you can, share what you're going through with somebody else who can provide that steady space, therein is the resilience. That therein gives you the chance to get through and into a more healthy, healing space to where things do feel better from within you. And now you can carry that for the next person. You can be that steady space for the next person who is needing some resilience themselves. So together we're holding it up. And when one person, needs to let go of the rope for a minute, that's okay. But because the rope is still, we're still being held here. And but in community, we will make sure that the hard times are endured. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up for the week, and hopefully that if you are dealing with just the layers upon layers upon layers of difficulty, like so many of us are, now is the time to find the community that can help be resilience for you, that can make you know that you're not alone in this, and that there is strength together, and that there is a steady, safe space for you in the hard time. So let me know, if you are finding that space, if you are finding communities that are about strengthening you and providing you some resilience in this hard time. As always, our community is linked below. So just to make sure that not one single one of us is alone, there is a community for you. So yeah, I just hope you're holding up and hope you're getting through. Again, we will get through together these difficult times. We will continue to walk through together and make sure that we will make sure that each of us are being held up when each of us is needing that holding. We'll continue to do that for each other. So take good care. Let me know how you are, and let me know what you need. And I look so forward to seeing you in the next video and in our next live. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.